Water.
And g'day viewers. In this week's podcast episode, we talk about believing is seeing.
So that you can bring into your life the people, scenarios, things, and adventures that you desire.
And how do you do this? What's the formula? And what's stopping you from doing it?
Well, we're going to go right into that. So if you're ready to change the way you look at things so that the things you look at change, listen up. Water.
G'day and welcome to this week's podcast about believing is seeing. I'm Michael.
And I'm Janet. Most mornings before work, well before 6, we walk our dogs through a pretty hilly neighbourhood. It's still winter and it's too dark to hit the park. On about the third hill, I've noticed a van always parked on the street, and I think it's a cleaning service for home or offices. And printed on the side of that van in some kind of funky font are the words, "Seeing is believing." I understand the sentiment, but I have to share that I find that statement works back to front. It really should read, "Believing is seeing." And what do I mean by that? Let me expand on this a bit to make some sense of it. The monistic theory of life subscribes along the lines of thinking that there is only one universal substance, let's call it universal energy, and that you, me, and everything around us comes from that. And this is where I'll begin. It permeates and penetrates and pervades every bit of space that is you and that is around you.
Yeah, absolutely. And Einstein summed it up with this statement, that everything is energy, absolutely everything. You know, you, me, space, the air between us, the chair that you're sitting on, the car that you're driving in, and particularly relevant to this topic, the actual thoughts that you are thinking. Thoughts are units of energy like everything else. They're actually alive. And the screensaver on Janet's phone reads, "If you realised how powerful your thoughts are, you'd never think a negative thought again," right? It's easier said than done when you're human. And still, it works as a great reminder to switch thoughts if I found a negative one lingering. Thoughts work a bit like magnets. They attract like-scented thoughts. You know, those mornings when you get up and stub your toe or you accidentally step on the cat's tail and you find the shower's out of hot water, or the shirt that you've picked to wear to work has somehow developed an oil stain overnight, and so on, and a negative chain of pain is established. It's at these times you need to stop the chain in its tracks and begin over.
This is true. Anyway, back to our original little summary about energy. I think we've all experienced either walking into a room or meeting another person and being affected by the energy that's around. What about when you walk into a boardroom and a particularly messy deal is being discussed? You can almost feel the ice in the air when one of the parties has been on the receiving end of news that doesn't really agree with them. Or when you walk into a room and there's been a heated argument between family or friends and the atmosphere kind of feels prickly. I think we've all been in those situations, and sometimes the energy can be residual, i.e. without anybody physically there. Mitch, you've got a story about a snow gig in Falls Creek, haven't you?
Yeah, sure do. It was really strange. So we'd just finished our gig at the Sundowner Hotel and we were looking to continue partying on, and we knew that the Man Hotel was still open for several hours. So we decided to make the trek up there, and we're all in a great mood and looking forward to kicking our heels up further. But the moment that I walked through the door, I could feel this tense and dark energy in the room. It was really weird. And I asked the other guys if they could feel it too, and they said, yeah, something just doesn't feel right. So there was something that was lingering in there, and we all felt uncomfortable. So we actually left. We don't know what it was, but something must have happened there earlier and had left a very dark energy residue.
I recall in one of our last homes that we'd sold having to physically push my way through a wall of energy that was hanging around at the top of the staircase. Not once, but many times until it dissipated. It was seriously like a thick wall of energy. Anyway, I've seen and experienced way too many energetic scenarios to diss anything, but what we're going to go and talk about now is the role of energy in believing is seeing, and not seeing is believing. Because if you know what you want, and you can clearly picture it in your mind's eye, and you impress that image into this energy that surrounds everything, you will see it. Here's an interesting thing. When we run this exercise in live workshops, some people really struggle when we ask them to form a picture in their mind's eye. There's a term for that. It's called aphantasia. So if you're one of the 4% of people who struggle with the whole mind's eye concept, you're not alone. When we ask you to do this sort of thing, print out a picture of what you want. That way it'll be a lot easier to process. And vision boards are a great example of this method.
So, we've also heard the countless stories of people who've reached incredible goals, right? Be it in the business world or in their life or in sporting circles. And time after time, they may have been faced with obstacles or circumstances that would have caused most of us to throw our hands up in the air and quit, right? And sometimes they would even find themselves in what appeared to be insurmountable and even devastating situations. But they made it through to their goal. And what was it that made these people great? It was their belief, their unshakable belief. No one and nothing could destroy it. There's actually a magic in believing. If you believe you can or can't do something, you are 100% right all the time. I'll say that again. If you believe you can or can't do something, you are right. One of my favourite quotes is from Yoda from Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back, when Luke Skywalker failed to raise his X-Wing fighter from the swamp using only the Force. And then Yoda successfully raised it. And Luke said to Yoda, "I don't believe it." And Yoda's sage response to Luke was, "And that is why you fail."
Indeed.
I had to do the Yoda voice.
There's an old Latin proverb, believe you will have it, and you will have it. Belief is the motivating force driving you to achieve your goals. Belief is the driving force that makes things occur. Beliefs also can produce undesirable results. Let me give an example. Many, many years ago, there was a railway worker checking on the trains and carriages that had been left in a rail yard for the evening, and somehow this worker managed to get himself locked inside one of the refrigerated carriages. Apparently he screamed and banged on the carriage, but to no avail. No one could hear him. No one knew that he was trapped. During the course of the night, he waited for someone to save him. He managed to scratch his thoughts and experiences onto the wall of the carriage. His words spoke about how cold he was and how much colder he was getting and how he was losing hope, and he was hoping that he'd be saved because he was fearing freezing to death. His notes continued, and it was getting colder and colder, his limbs and extremities becoming numb, and he could barely stay awake. The railway worker was found dead in the carriage the next morning, along with the note scratched on the wall. The fascinating part of this story is that the refrigeration mechanism on the carriage was faulty and not working, so the carriage remained at a safe temperature. For the man, he would have survived all night. The problem was that he believed that the carriage was refrigerated and that if he wasn't saved, he'd perish.
Yeah, it's a great story. So that's amazing, the power that beliefs have. So let's go back to thoughts. As you think and believe, so you are. Every person is the creation of themselves, the image of their own thinking and believing. King Solomon put it in a great way. He said, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." And the philosopher William James said something similar, that belief creates its verification in fact. And do you know what? Most people actually go through life without realising the effect that belief has on reaching their goals. Instead, they leave their desires vague, and so they get vague outcomes. Virtually anything can be yours, and you can be anything if you're able to develop a knowing about it that you don't ever need to question. The subconscious is constantly working to express our deepest beliefs and desires. It's a faithful servant which renews, guides, and inspires. It operates in imagery, so it's vital that we feed it mental pictures of what we want. It can then go to work on living up to the mental image placed before it by giving us intuitions and gut feelings about what to do, where to go, and who to meet.
The place we are living in right now, I brought to us using the Believing is Seeing method. The property has a most spectacular view. I mean, it's totally breathtaking. It backs onto parkland, sweeping tree views for miles, and I used to walk past the rear of this property for many years. It has a clear fence through to the park, and I'd imagine stepping out onto that back deck and down to the pool area. When we put our last home on the market and we needed to find a space to be while we finished renovating, guess which property was available? Yep, this one. I sent Mitch and the kids to check it out because I said, I'm already there. Needless to say, they walked through the property, opened the door to the glass-walled back area and fell in love. It is what you'd call the sweet spot, and we truly appreciate this view every single day.
Yeah, sure do. And, another example of it, our middle child has used the Believing is Seeing method many times with absolutely jaw-dropping results. And I'll share a quick one. She was about 15 years old, and a group of her school friends and her got tickets to Justin Bieber when he was at the peak of his global fame. The week leading up to the concert, like many teens, our daughter spent hours visualising meeting Justin and being on stage with him. And the night of the concert, she rang Janet from the side of the stage and she said, "Mum, I'm at side stage waiting to go on stage with Justin." Well, to be honest, there was a fair swag of hysteria and the screaming teens volume was at 1,000,000 decibels. It was loud as.
It was loud.
However, sure enough, she was chosen out of the 100,000 strong crowd to be serenaded by him and even given a bunch of roses. Beliefs are self-fulfilling prophecies. Whatever belief you hold true, good or bad, your subconscious works to make that a reality.
So what is it in your life that you want to bring into being? Well, we're here to tell you that you can. You can be, do, have, or create the life that you'd love to live. And if you're sitting there eye-rolling and saying, what a load of BS, that's okay. Eye roll away. It's all good. I remember Wayne Dyer being interviewed on CBS, and it went something like this. The reporter, who was middle-aged, pretty short of stature and fairly overweight, asking him, "So you say I can be anything, so you think I'll make it as a player with the New York Giants next season?" And Dr. Dyer responded, "Does that feel normal and natural for you? Can you see yourself in that jersey ready to play ball? Is that something that you really believe?" The reporter fell silent.
That told him. So, yes, there are boundaries around scenarios. And yes, as we all know, shit happens. However, if you give belief a fair go, the results will absolutely amaze you.
We have so many stories to share around this topic. We could talk for hours. We could write a book. But to start with, we're actually creating a course called Mastering Manifestation. So we'll keep you posted as we go. And as the immortal words of the Journey song says, don't stop believing. Until next time, love and blessings.
See ya.
Thanks for watching this video, and we hope that you got a lot out of it. We would love it, be grateful and appreciative if you would take the time to like this video, comment if you feel inclined, and share with any friends that you think would benefit from this. We are constantly creating new great content, so also remember to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the awesome material that we have coming up. See you soon.